Hey team, how's it going? I'm going to keep this pretty brief, obviously, because I'm driving. I do have two hands on the wheel, so don't worry, and I'm focusing on the road, but I can talk while I'm driving. So the question is, how quickly does change happen, or how quickly can we see progress? The fact of the matter is, it's always slower than we want it to be, but it's also time dependent, or time on task dependent. And when it comes to other things like reading or working, playing computer games, things like that, we can actually spend hours on task quite easily. So we can get good at various different things, probably faster than we can with training, for the pure simple fact that it requires less effort and attention. When you sit down to read, it's not physically demanding. It actually doesn't require tons of focus. Same with playing computer games. We can play computer games for hours on end because we get instantaneous positive feedback and reinforcement through achieving things and stuff like that. But it's not physically demanding, doesn't require loads of focus and intention on your physical environment. You just stare at like one square of an image in front of you. It's not actually that difficult. When we're at work, we spend hours at work, so we get tons of time on task. When it comes to training, we've got a couple of barriers. One is that it does require quite a lot of attention, especially when we're learning new things and we're trying to develop new motor skills. There's a lot of different things going on, requires a lot of focus, but also it's physically demanding all at the same time. So it does actually take energy more quickly than a lot of other tasks that we do. And it also puts stress on our bodies and on our central nervous systems, which means that we can only do so much before we have to take a break, and therefore we can't spend as much time on task. So when it comes to training, like anything else, time on task is what we're after, but we're limited by how much we can get. So where we feel like a certain period of time might usually be adequate for us to get good at something, when it comes to physical exercise and training, it often takes longer. But this is actually on the same coin, on the other side of the same coin, this is actually why it's good, is because obviously what I talk a lot about is how training is kind of like a vessel or a tool for us to develop other skills. So we can tell by what we're talking about here that it's super good for building patience, resilience, grit, determination, focus, intent, even the more practical or the more physical things like proprioceptive awareness and body awareness, and that information between our limbs and our brain. We are developing all of those things which have a really good carryover to a lot of other things in life, grit, determination, focus, resilience. So these are all what I would consider to be pretty positive and useful traits to develop. So whilst it's something that's definitely harder than a lot of other tasks that we undertake, or a lot of other things that we might be able to spend more time on task doing, it's actually that added difficulty which is so beneficial and useful to us. And what I was having a conversation with a few people about in the gym the other day was, because it's a harder process and a longer process and oftentimes a more difficult process, what would be useful for us to be able to do is approach it in a different way, because in order to achieve things with it, we do have to give it more attention or more time on task, or we have to take more breaks, or we have to be more patient and all of this stuff. And they're things that, whilst developing resilience, grit, determination, they're also the things that can be very frustrating and make you feel like you're not getting anywhere, and have to have trust in the process, which again is a phrase that I don't particularly like to use, but it's one that always comes up because it's, I guess it is kind of true. You have to have faith that you're going to get that delayed gratification eventually, but I'm not a big faith person myself, so it's hard to kind of say that whilst knowing that. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that this is the stuff that is also very, very challenging. And so when you're trying to do it, it can feel like, why am I bothering? You know, this is so hard, this is so difficult, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And yes, if you carry on, it's developing that grit, determination and resilience, but it doesn't always feel good in the moment, and that's not particularly motivating. So trying to reframe some of those thoughts and feelings, like when it is difficult, thinking that means it's good, that means it's a challenge, and that challenge is making me better. When it feels frustrating, okay, this is again another good challenge for me. Because I'm frustrated, it means there's something that I can get my teeth stuck into and work on. When it is absolutely kicking your ass, or when it is just not clicking into place, that's an opportunity to do more reps and to see if you can figure it out, and to almost like dive into the equation of mathematics that is seemingly unsolvable, and try to kind of create some clarity and some order from it. So by almost embracing all of those hardships, you actually make the process feel a lot nicer and easier, because you're saying, you know, failure, fucking great, I love failure. Frustration, okay, that's something for me to, you know, experience, but also learn how to manage and deal with. Difficulty, good, that means I'm having adequate challenge, and so on. And so you actually go into those things almost with a bit of a positive spin. And I'm not saying that you're going to switch it and you're not going to, you know, have any kind of negative feelings about frustration. Like, frustration is frustrating, so it's not always positive, but just that additional little added mindset of that actually means it's a good thing can help the process. And if the process feels a lot more manageable, then we get the outcomes as just a byproduct of the change that we've made in ourselves. So it was just a little thought I wanted to share. This video is already way longer than I planned, so I will stop it here and hope you enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thanks a lot for watching.